Hello, 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 everyone. Hey, guys. I have missed you guys. I know I just spoke to you guys yesterday, but that video was actually pre-recorded. But it's been a little bit and I'm excited. I kind of just want to jump right in it because I don't want to hold you guys long. But, as you guys can see, this video will be talking about the facts about the informant. I feel like since the whole Nipsey Hussle murder, there has been a lot of talk about conspiracy theories and, whether or not the government can be behind something like that or, all kinds of different things that's been out there on social media. So I did my own research um, where I pulled up, reputable articles, the Washington Post. I went to the actual FBI website to get information about, the policies and some of the things that they have for informants. So I did a lot of research, like an extensive amount of time to this particular topic. So I know what I'm talking about. And the reason being, again, with the whole Nipsey Hussle killing, I just kind of wanted to put some facts out there because it's so much on social media. It's just so much on social media. And, you have people who really just they don't know what to believe. And you have people who think, oh, well, this is not like, 1932, this is different. This is not like when J. Edgar Hoover was president and, he was running. This is a different day and time. And so you have people that really think like that. And, they have every right to think like that because when you don't have the facts, you just don't know. And so you try to use your logic based off of the little bit of information that you may know. And so, again, I wanted to cover facts about informants. I'm going to go over facts about informants. I'm going to go over what the federal government, the FBI, the CIA, the DEA, so on and so forth, consider an informant. I'm going to go over whether or not informants can be paid. I'm going to go over whether or not informants can be hired to do certain things such as murder. And again, all of this is backed up. This is fact. This is fact. This is all all of my information, like I said, I got from reputable sources. And I even have, I think I had enough time to get it, but I even have court cases. Like I can name court cases where certain things were done where my phone is going off. This is crazy. I can use real court cases where informants were used in court cases, and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, I don't want to take up much of you guys' time, but this video will cover that. I think that this this is needed. Like, this is needed because you have people who, and let me put this out there, let me make a disclaimer. I have my own opinions about what's going on, and so I don't want you guys to take this and say, oh, well, this is what, this is what Nikhil believed, or this is, where she's coming from. I wanted to pull up the facts about informants. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to know, how are they used? Can they be paid? Who can hire them? Who has the authority to say whether or not an informant can be hired? How much money can informants make? If they can make money at all. I wanted to know, like, what gains do they get out of selling information or providing information to government agencies? Those are the facts. That's what I wanted to know, and this is what this video is going to be about. You guys, I welcome you guys to stay tuned. I welcome you guys to go ahead and hit that like button. Also, I welcome you guys to share and or like this video. Because again, there's a lot of questions out there, and I feel like people are talking out the side of their head. They have no idea what they're talking about. And like I said, this is fact. Okay, everything that I'm going to talk about is straight facts. I will post every article that I got it from. I will post every website that I got it from in the comment section. So if anybody wants to fact check me, please be my guest. Please be my guest. All right. So facts about the informant. I took notes because it was so much information about it. And so there was no way for me to keep all of that in my mind. But the things I'm going to go over, I wrote them down. The things I'm going to go explain. I'm first going to explain what is an informant. I'm going to give you the government's definition of an informant. The next thing that I'm going to do is what names or titles can informants be called. And this is very important because what I found in my research is that, you know, when you pull up court documents, a court document is not going to call their informants a snitch. A court document is not going to call their informants a rat. So these are things that some people may, you know, you may read and you're like, oh, that's not what I read. It wasn't a snitch in there. It didn't say that this person was snitching. There are certain terms that are used in court documents that identify informants. A lot of times it will be blank. The name will not be there. It would be something like Jane Doe or, you know, John Doe or something like that. Sometimes they may mention the actual word informant. So anyways, I'm going to go over the titles and things like that informants are called specifically in court when you're looking up court cases, court documents. Also, I'm going to go over what jobs can be assigned to informants, right? So some people want to know, can informants be hired to kill? I'm going to go over that, okay? What are some ways that informants can be compensated? Sometimes there's more to it than just money. It can be other gains that informants can get for sharing information or providing information or selling information. And I'm going to go over that. Who can authorize the hiring of an informant or working with an informant? I'm going to go over that. What government agencies have used and are currently working with informants? I'm going to go over that. That's going to be a big one. What programs were created to help informants? I'm going to go over that. And this is very important as well, because I want you guys to look this up when I do go over this. Who can be an informant? You know, so how does one become an informant? I'm going to go over that. Also, how do people become informants? So who can be an informant? So basically, who do they pick or who do they choose or whatever like that? And then how do they become? I'm going to go over that. How can agents or the police or those employed by government have agents, police, or those employed by government ever been convicted and sentenced for overstepping their boundaries? I'm going to go over that. And then I'm going to go over some facts about Eric Holder. Eric Holder, for some of you guys who have been under a rock, Eric Holder is the man that allegedly, and I say allegedly, just to cover my butt, you know, just to cover my butt. This is a suspect that they captured, or that, whatever you want to call it. This is the suspect that they had in custody, but I think they let him go. But his name is Eric Holder. I'm going to go over some facts about him. And then I'm going to also go over just some little tidbits that I think that's just good to know and to just keep, you know, in your mind. And then you can make your own decision. So let's go ahead and start it off. So what is an informant? So an informant, and this comes from the actual FBI website. This is their definition. And as a matter of fact, let me see something. Let me, because I want to read it word for word. Okay. Let's see here. Let me see here. Hold on, you guys. Okay. So let me get this and just bring this out here. And then that way you guys can still see me, but because I want to go ahead and and make sure I'm reading it word for word. Okay, you guys, I'm sorry, guys. I had it ready, but I didn't realize that, you know. Okay, so what is an informant? This is on the FBI's website. It's FBI.gov. That's the website that I got this definition from. I'm going to read it word for word. It says informants are individuals who supply information to the FBI on a confidential basis. They are not hired or trained employees. And I'm going to go into detail about that and explain that of the FBI. Although they may receive compensation, okay, in some instances for their information and expenses. Okay, that is the definition that the FBI, FBI.gov have on their website as what an informant is. Okay, now the reason why I said I wanted to talk about the reason why they don't consider an informant a hired employee of theirs is because it's illegal, right? So it's like it's really tricky. It's really tricky because when I looked it up, I was kind of like, I'm like, wait a minute, how can you? So basically, all it boils down to is that, under hiring policies, obviously you cannot hire a criminal, a person with a criminal record. And especially if you're going to work for the FBI and other federal agencies, I mean, your criminal record has to be like spotless. I mean, there's not much that can be on there. However, the reason why they don't consider you an employee is because, like, you don't have an actual schedule. You just kind of you provide what they may need, and it has to be like whatever information that is provided to them, it has to result in something. So it can't be where you just telling them whatever and they're just going with the flow. It has to be something that actually leads to something. It can lead to an arrest. It could lead to another tip. It could lead to, what avenue they need to take, whatever it is. But it has to be information they can actually use. And so for that, and then for also, they don't receive training and stuff like that. So they don't consider them an employee of theirs. However, technically, in the technical sense, if you are paying money for services such as information or gathering information, which some would say it's like intel, it's like an intel, officer or something like that. But if you are paying information technically under the technical sense and definition, you are someone who has been hired for that particular job, right? So it just kind of depends on how you see it. But according to their definition, that's what an informant is. And so we're going to move to the next thing, right? And I kind of have my own ideas about that. So it says, what are names, titles used to identify informants? Okay, so some of the names that we make here, and these are usually the names on the streets. You'll hear snitch, you'll hear moles, you'll hear spies, whistleblowers, confidential human source. Pay attention to that word, because in court documents, they will use that sometimes. Confidential human source is what they will use. And then CIs. CIs is an acronym for confidential informant. And you'll see that title as well in court documents. Okay, so those two are very, very important, because a lot of times you won't see where they name a person a snitch unless, they're like quoting word for word, maybe what someone said or what they may have on recorded tape or video or something like that. But a lot of times they will be referred to as confidential human source or CIs, confidential informants. And also, depending on the federal agency that has obtained an informant, they call them different things. But 9 times out of 10, that word informant will be in there. 9 times out of 10. But those are some of the titles that are used. What jobs can be assigned to informants? Okay, so the main job of an informant, obviously, we know from reading the actual definition that's on the FBI's website, the main job is for the informant to provide information that will assist in an investigation. That's pretty much the main and just of an informant. However, informants can also provide proof, like actual proof, whether they may wear wires, they may, have like recordings, or they may be able to steal or obtain certain documents, like emails or some type of record that proves that the information that they're giving is true. So they are also they can also be assigned that particular duty as an informant. Selling drugs or breaking the law to accomplish whatever goals that may be set, right? And I'm going to get into more of that. They are also encouraged to be themselves, and I'm going to get into that. Okay, and so the big question that everybody wants to know is, can informants be hired to kill? Can informants be hired to murder someone? And the answer to that is yes. Yes, an informant can be hired to commit murders. There is actual court cases that not only spell this out in so many words, but that proves it. And I'm going to go, for example, the mob, a lot of the mob cases, when you go back to like the 1930s, 1940s, and you look up some of the informants that they hired, 1950s, things like that, you will find that not only did the government at that particular time hire mob guys to sell them, to get information from, but they also would allow those guys to indulge in whatever crime that they were in at that particular time. Because the thing was, they didn't want, if you hire somebody to give you information, and then when they go around the people that they trying to catch and they acting off, they acting different, they no longer want to do crime no more. They used to sell drugs or sell alcohol or sell whatever illegally, and now they don't want to do that no more. They just kind of want to come around and just look, and they don't want to get their hands dirty. Well, a lot of times that's not what is encouraged. They are encouraged to do whatever they normally would do. So if you are an informant, but in in whatever illegal activities that you got going on to get next to somebody, or because you're next to somebody, they encourage you to continue to do that. Okay, there are court, and I'm gonna name some of these court cases at the end that proves this. This is well documented. This is not a secret. Okay, this is not some type of conspiracy. Okay, I mean, like I said, it goes back to, you can look up a lot of those mob. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Goodfellas, but Goodfellas was based off of a true story, like true stories that happened within, the mob. For real, like, you can be hired as an informant, and they will provide witness protection for, all kinds of things. That stuff is just not, that ain't myth, you guys. That's true. That is very true. And I'm going to even go as far as to say that it's been recent court cases where, because some people may say, oh, well, that was old. That's back in the day. No, it's been recent court cases where the DEA has hired informants to help them catch big kingpins and things of that nature. And you have not only movies that basically spell out what has happened, but you also have, like I said, it all goes back to the court cases, court documents that prove this. Okay. Selling of drugs, breaking the law, murder. Now with the murder, that's a tricky one, because you won't find with any federal agent of any kind that have admitted that they actually said out of their mouth, kill someone. You won't find that. And the reason why is because that's illegal. You can't do that. So what, according to an article that I read of a real case that happened, what happens is they, say, hey, if you have to protect yourself, then go ahead and do it. If the person gets mad at you and they are trying to put their hands on you and you have to protect yourself. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay. So in so many words, it's like, okay, if your life feels threatened and you got to protect yourself, then go ahead. So basically saying that, if you need to kill this person, go right ahead. But after we get the information we need, after, whatever, right? So that's pretty much what is said. And again, I am going to provide all the websites, all the sources that I have that prove every single word that I'm saying. I'm not making this stuff up, guys. I encourage you guys to do your own research and read all of the articles that I read everything that I read, and you'll see for yourself. This is not a conspiracy. Okay? This is not a conspiracy. I know it can be hard for us to fathom. Oh my God, I can't believe that they would do so. Yeah, it happens. And we've all heard of the famous cases with, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. And again, a lot of people look at those situations and they contribute that to, oh, well, it was a long time ago. That stuff is still the same tricks and schemes and all kinds of stuff that they did back then can still be done right now. Right now. There are articles that I read that states that out of 50,000 informants, basically, out of 50,000 people who are in prison, in federal prison, 1 in 8 have not only sold information to get reduced sentences, but they get their sentences reduced as much as 50% or lower. Okay, guys, that's something. I mean, you got to think about that. And remember all of this information, because when I get to the end and I talk about Eric Holder himself, there are a lot of parallels. Okay, so what are ways that informants can be compensated? Informants can be compensated by reduced sentencing, dropping certain charges. They can also be compensated with money, cars, home, property, planes, boats. Okay. Informants may be eligible for up to 25% of the net value of any forfeited property. So, for example, this is real big in the DEA. If the DEA does a let's say a $20 million drug bust, right? And that drug bust happened because they had someone informing them from the inside out. That person who was informing them, that was selling them information, they could have put this person up in a house. They could have actually given this person a house. Because they could make this person look like they're living the lifestyle to be among the people that they're trying to get, among the big fishes that they're trying to get. So, what will happen is it could be like old drug busts or old, cases where they took somebody's money and property and took somebody's whatever. And what they do is recycle it, because come on, the government don't really have money like that to just give away. So what they do is they take somebody else's stuff and they give it to the person that they're working with, or they compensate it to the person that they're working with. Now, not everybody gets this. Right? A lot of times it's a case-by-case scenario, because you do have dusty informants. Some people think, oh, well, informants are, no, informants can be very dusty. They can be very dusty. I mean, an informant can get any less then $20 all the way up to millions of dollars. Okay, the millions of dollars. This is well documented, you guys. Well documented. Okay. Let's see what else did I have here. Informants can make up to a $500,000 a year. $500,000 a year. That's what they can make up to, $500,000 a year. They also, some of the other things that they are compensated with is government protection. So for example, if somebody blows their cover, then they can they can be eligible for government protection, which means they may move this person to a whole different city, country, under a whole different identity. This is possible. Or at least help the person get to wherever they want to go under a whole different identity, and they're on their own after that. Okay. New identity, help with disappearing and setting up a new life. Again, this exact example can be seen with a lot with the mob, that whole mob, those mob cases and stuff like that. It happened. This actually happened then. Okay, you guys. Who can authorize working with or hiring informants? The special agent in charge of that particular project or that particular case, they can authorize it. The deputy director can also authorize it, and then the attorney general can also authorize working with or hiring an informant. So if they want someone bad enough, or if they want information bad enough, they can do it. Also, there was an article that I read about, and this article was based on some guy that was getting information, like terrorist information, and he was basically selling the information to the CIA, I believe. And they was paying this dude, like, I think they said over a course of like 20 years, or no, not 20, over a course of 5 or 4 years, this guy was paid like $4 million or something like that. There is one informant that they, according to this article, that the government was working with, that over a course of 20 years, they had been working with this man for 20 years, this particular informant for 20 years. And over the course of 20 years, I think they paid this man, I can't remember how many millions of dollars, but it's real. It's real. It's very real. They can also give people drugs. Some people say, oh, well, the government wouldn't give nobody drugs. Please. I think Freeway Rick, talked about that. The real Rick Ross, he talked about that, where, they tried to hire him, to push out drugs and stuff like that. And I think he said they did. I'm not for sure. I'm not real, big on, all of that, on the drug things with that. But there are several cases where this has happened. Okay. What government agencies use informants? So again, FBI, CIA, DEA, Homeland Security, ATF, all of these, and others. It's not just limited to those. It's other ones too. Those were the ones that I found where they actually had real active cases, both old and new, where they hired informants for all types of reasons and actually paid them like hundreds of thousands of dollars. What programs were created to help informants? Now there is something, this is something called the Confidential Source Program. And this is a program that is through the DEA. And it is a real program. You guys should go to Google. You should type that in there and look it up. They have a whole handbook on that. There's also another program that's called Confidential Human Source Manual. This is an actual manual, and I think this manual is an FBI manual, and it's a 200-page manual. You guys, I've seen it myself. I looked through it. I couldn't read all 200 pages, obviously. But you can look it up. Go to Google, type in confidential human source manual, and you will find it. It's a whole manual about how they can and will use informants. So my question is, I just want to pose this question. If people think that an informant can be hired for whatever reason by the government, because the government don't do that, that's a conspiracy. If that's the case, then why do they need a manual on something that doesn't exist? Ask yourself that. Why do you need a 200-page manual on something that does not exist? That's just logic. If it does not exist, why do you need anything on it? Just ask yourself that. That's logic. And again, I encourage you guys, go to Google, type in that word, those words, confidential human source manual. Look at it for yourself. It's there. Matter of fact, I'm going to also, in the comment section, in the box below, I will post every single thing that I did my research from. I will post it in there. And you know, I keep stating that because, you know, people are so quick to say, oh, well, this and that and the third, it's not that. Or, oh, no, this all has been documented. Okay. So who can be an informant? Anybody with information or anybody who has connections to a person, group, organization with of interest to the government. So who can be an informant? Anybody with information or anybody who has connections, who has the right connections, who can get next to somebody, to connections to a person, group, or organization of interest to the government. That is who can be an informant. So basically, if the government is going after a specific group, person, or organization, and they want information about this person, or they really want to get this person, or whatever it is that they're trying to do, if the friend, the girlfriend, the cousin, the whoever can get information, they will hire them as an informant. So this is why I say anybody can be an informant. If the government want to get somebody and they think that you got the right connection to that person, they know that you can get next to that person way easy than just some stranger. They will hire you. Absolutely, they will. And I got that from the FBI's website as well. That is exactly what they stated. Anybody with information or anybody who has connections to a person, group, organization that has of interest to the government can be an informant. Okay. How do people become informants? Well, I kind of think it's self-explanatory after I explained that anybody can, but I'm going to go ahead and go over some things that I read. You can volunteer yourself. So, for example, if this happens a lot in jails or in prisons, when somebody goes to jail and they don't want to do a lot of time, they can say, oh, well, you know, I know so-and-so, you know, I date his sister, or, you know, I know so-and-so, you know, I am the whatever within that organization, or I am whatever. And you can prove, in fact, or even in some cases, whether you can prove it or not, if they really believe you, they will take you on as an informant. Matter of fact, their favorite and the majority of informants are people who have a criminal record, people who have been to jail. They seek them out. Those are their favorite. Those are their best. And the reason being is because if you already have a criminal record and you've already been in trouble with the law and you come back into the criminal justice system, then you are going to be more likely to make a deal. You're going to be more likely to help to cooperate with them to grab whoever they're trying to grab. And this goes for all agencies. This is not just the DEA. This is not just the FBI, the CIA, or whoever. This goes for if they want you for whatever reason. And those reasons could be plentiful. It could be, you know, that you are a threat to whatever they're doing. You are a threat to their money. You are a threat to, you know, bringing down a certain, you know, big a big political person. You could, I mean, it's all kinds of reasons. All kinds of reasons. But more so when you see people volunteer, a lot of times the people that volunteer are people who are already in the criminal justice system, who already have records, because those people are already probably connected to the person that they're trying to get, or the person that they are trying to get next to, or the person that they are trying to gain information on. So, because people seem to think that, oh well, you know, for example, the Eric Holder, Nipsey's alleged killer, he was already in the criminal justice system. He had that connection with Nipsey through their neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Just being a part of one of the groups that Nipsey was a part of. And there's a reason why I refuse to use the word gang, because I don't want that word to be connected to Nipsey, because Nipsey's life and the things that he did was so much bigger than that. Okay, so there's a reason why I don't want to use that word, and I won't use that word to relate to him. So again, they were a part of the same, you know, neighborhood group. And you know, he could get next to Nipsey, which means he could be around him close enough. So again, I'm just saying, you guys, I'm just saying, I'm reading you the facts right now. This comes from the FBI website. Who can be an informant? How do you become an informant? This is where I got this information from. This is not a lie, you guys. This is real deal. Now, again, you know, we don't know all the facts, but some stuff is lining up here. Some stuff is lining up. So again, you can volunteer yourself. How do you become, we're on the subject of how do you become an informant? You can volunteer yourself. Also, you can be handpicked by an agency, which means sometimes they will approach you. So for example, if you go to jail, if you get into some type of situation where they know that you're going to be more willing to cooperate with them, they'll come to you and say, hey, you know, you're about to do 20 years. You know, you're about to do 10 years. You know, you're about to get these other charges added onto the already charges that you have. You know, you probably will never see your family again. This may be your last chance of freedom right here. So this is what we need for you to do. That's when they handpick you. That's when they handpick you. I don't know if you guys seen that movie, American Gangsters. That is based on a true and real story about a big kingpin guy up in New York who was selling dope some years ago. And one of the prominent people that that helped them catch or get him was his own cousin, because his cousin had got into some trouble with the law, and his cousin is the one that tipped them off about some prominent information that they needed to get him. Okay, his own cousin. It happens all the time. Family members, they pick again. They love people who go to jail. They see people like me who have never been to jail. I ain't gonna break the law. I may speed, 5 miles over the speeding limit, but other than that, I ain't finna steal, rob, kill nobody. I don't do that. Not unless if somebody threatened my life and they're come up in here, something like that, they try to get physical or something like that, then I may have to, what other choices do I have? I have a firearm for a reason. But other than that, they don't look at people like me. I'm not connected to nobody. I ain't never been to jail. I live well. I don't really need, whatever. Right? So they love criminals, is all I'm saying. They love people who already have a record, who's already been to jail, who don't want to go back, or who don't want to have that extra time, or who want that reduced sentence, or who, say, what, I take the hit, but, send my girls something, send my kids that $20,000 that you would pay me if I was out. Okay. What else? Okay. I already went over that. Okay, so it says have agents or the police or those employed by government ever been convicted and sentenced for overstepping their boundaries with working with informants? Now, the answer to that is yes. I want you guys to look up this case. It's a man. Look up this man. This man name is John Connolly. Connolly. Connolly is his last name. First name John. He did 10 years. This is an agent. This is an ex FBI agent who was sentenced to 10 years in prison because he, in so many words, according to court documents, he knew he hired informants to help him and feed him information. These informants broke all type of laws to the extent of murder. These informants that he hired that was under his watch allegedly murdered 18 people. 18 people. And he, the FBI agent, knew about it. This is a real case. You can look this up. Look it up, guys. He knew about it. Not only did he know about it, but the director at that particular time knew about it. But he ended up being the scapegoat, and he ended up taking the 10 years and doing the 10 years. Okay? They knew that these people, the informants that they hired, was out there killing people to the extent of 18 people. So don't tell me that they won't hire somebody, or at least know that somebody's out here killing people, but look the other way. Because in the article that I read, a lot of people that were in that predicament at that particular time felt like, oh, well, they were going to kill each other anyway, because it was, murderers working with murderers. That's the game. They were going to kill each other anyway. So they didn't think that it was such a big deal that something that was going to happen anyway, they didn't interfere in it, even though they knew that this was happening. Okay. Again, this is, I don't remember what year, but this was not that long ago. This was not like with the mob and all of that. This was recent. I think 2011 or something like that. It was recent. It wasn't that long ago, guys, where this happened. And you can look this up. Okay, he knew. He's doing time. He did 10 years. And they also stated that there are FBI documents that prove that the entire field office, including the director, knew of the informant and their crimes and murders. Now, that's pretty much all I have, you guys. I hope I kind of shed some light on the facts surrounding informants and what can be done and how informants can be used and what informants can be used for. I hope I shed some light on that for you guys, because I know for me, again, I'm a thinker. And so if I want to know something, I'll look it up myself. I don't have to wait on somebody to look something up or just go with what somebody says. And for me, I feel like nobody really was breaking this stuff down. Another thing that I noticed too was that with this Eric Holder dude, like, a lot of times when it's a Black person that has did any type of crime, killing somebody, whatever, stealing, it is on the news. And then not only is that on the news, but they put their whole criminal record on the news with them to basically, reference that their criminal record to more dehumanize the person, or to make the person look worse than, whatever the crime is that they may have done. You know what I'm saying? So for example, it was the young boy who fell into the little, he was at the zoo and he fell over into the closure where the not the monkeys, but where the chimps or whatever were gorillas. He fell into the enclosure where the gorillas were. And what ended up happening was they shot the gorilla. They was able to get the little boy out, but then they put the little boy's dad and his criminal record on the news. See, that's how the news works. So when I seen that they knew who the person was, but they didn't run down his rap sheet. They just said he was, he was highly dangerous and some other stuff. He was wanted for murder, so on and so forth. But they didn't really run down his rap sheet. That right there stuck out to me. Another thing that stuck out to me was the fact that when I looked up what this man had went to jail for, you guys, there was certain information that I couldn't find, and I paid like a subscription or whatever to have access to like do criminal background checks and stuff like that. And so I typed his name in there, and it was not much. It was not, if anything. So I actually ended up getting a lot of some of the things that he's been charged for, and I don't even think that's it. But some of the things that they mentioned that he was charged for, I got it from an article actually. So my thing is like, why is it so hard? Why would they scrub this man's criminal record? Because when a black man commit a crime, or anybody black commits a crime, baby, let me tell you something. That criminal record, they love that. It oozes. They love to just to tell the whole world about this person's criminal record. But they, for some reason, they ain't even talking about this man's past felonies and his past run-ins with the law. They're not, if you notice, you guys, they're not even talking about that. That's a red flag. That's a red flag. So Eric Holder, so I believe in 2012, he got a felony. He pled no contest to one felony charge of possession of a loaded gun. So he pled no contest, and he was also given 3-year probation for that. He only did 6 months for that. Okay. There was another incident, a domestic incident that he had with a baby mother of his. And this was back in 2009. And so he ended up, now this is exactly what it said, you guys. And so I just want you to pay attention to these words. So it said that he cut a deal, emphasis on the word deal. He cut a deal. He cut a deal and pled, let me see, he cut a deal and pled the charges down. Okay, so he cut a deal and pled the charges down to battery. So I guess the charges were going to be, more than battery. And he was able to, make a plea deal and plead him down to battery. And so he pled him down to battery, and then he also did a anger management course. Now, you guys, this man in 2009, he got into this situation, this domestic dispute situation with one of his baby mamas, or a baby mother. I don't know if he has more than one. And then in 2012, he pled no contest to one felony charge of possession of a loaded firearm, and they gave him 3 years probation. Now, again, he's making deals. He's getting lower sentences. He is, he's, if any at all, I mean, he only did 6 months. And so the word is too, now this is hearsay. This is not something that that is fact, but it was said that, Nipsey did not want this man around him because he was a rat. And it said that, everybody knew he was a rat. Everybody knew something wasn't right with him. And I'm assuming the reason why everybody knew that something wasn't right with him is because they know, people know, the hood know, like when you go to jail and you're a black person, you connected to a gang and you go to jail and you don't get no time. You only do 6 months. Like, yeah, where your paperwork at? Like, he was, they said Nipsey was like, you don't come back. You need your paperwork. I need to see your paperwork. I don't need you around here. And like any person who owns property or owns a business, yeah, you want somebody to be, if you say you don't want somebody coming around your business, you have every right to do that, especially if you consider them to be a threat to you. or a threat to, you know, your business or your establishment. And he may have considered that man a threat and told him, look, I need to see your paperwork. And the man left. And when he came back, you know, we all know the story. You know, most of us have seen the video. So there are so many parallels. And then also, you know, when the guy was, when they caught the guy or got the guy or whatever, the guy just, it's just so many different red flags about that whole situation that screams something other than what we are seeing with the eye, guys. I'm just asking you to think. I'm not asking you to pick a side, take a side. I'm not doing that because it's not my place. I don't care. You know, like I said, I have my own, but I want to lay out. I just wanted to lay out the facts, you guys, about an informant, what an informant is, what they do, what they can be hired for. Now, I can't, you know, say that this is the case with Eric Holder because, you know, this is the beginning of things. You know, this is the very beginning of things. I can't really say that. I can say what I believe, and I believe that, yeah, he has a lot of parallels with being with he's like the perfect informant. He's the perfect person to choose to be an informant. So then the question is why? If he was an informant that was hired to do harm or be around Nip, the question is why? So on that note, you guys, I hope I did this topic justice. I do. This was a passion of mine because you know, it's just a messed up situation. I just feel like, you know, people don't really know what an informant is and what an informant is capable of. And I feel like people think that because stuff is old, oh, they did that back in the day, that they don't do that no more. Like I said, I just named a recent court case where an actual agent was charged and was given 10 years. You can look this up. Okay. Also, let me not forget. So in 2012, I read a 2012 USA Today article, and this is what it said. It says out of 50,000 people who are in prison, federal people who are in federal prison, one of every eight had time reduced for helping the government. That was an article that I got from USA Today. Also, it said 11% or more of the people convicted of a federal crime got shorter time because they provided information. And that was, I don't know what year that was, but I guess that was in that year. Sentences can be reduced by 50% or more. So some of the court cases that you guys should look up, I'll name that one. Also look up a court case, Marcus Antonio Watkins. Marcus Antonio Watkins. This is a guy who was located in Georgia, and he had for years selling information to the government. He was making money. He did this for years. Okay, there's a court case that he was in. So you guys look that up. Also, like I said, those cases with the mob, the Goodfellas, that whole movie, the Goodfellas. Look that stuff up, you guys. Look that stuff up. It's some truth there. Okay, so I hope I served this topic justice. I hope you guys have a more rounded understanding of an informant, what an informant can be used for, so on and so forth. I love you guys. Go ahead and like, share, subscribe. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me what you guys, what do you guys think? After hearing all of these facts, what do you guys think? Let me know what you think. I would love to know and hear from you guys. I love you guys, and I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.